But anywho, man, let's tap into this 53-man roster that the Steelers have officially released, man. And as a whole, I kind of like it. I ain't too crazy on it. I ain't see nothing that had me over here like, hey man, ooh, how do we do that? So I do like that part of it, man. But let's go ahead and just do what you're supposed to do, right? Which is read off who made it, right? So we know in terms of quarterback, we kept 4 of them, right? A little bit of a surprise, just because history has shown that the Steelers typically don't keep 4. You just keep 3, right? So that part is different, man. But when you're looking at Aaron Rodgers, Mason Rudolph, Skylar Thompson, Will Howard, all 4 of those dudes in some variety have a strong case of why they should be here. Aaron Rodgers, we know that's your starter. That's QB1. That's the guy that is hopefully going to take us to the promised land. Mason Rudolph, that's the guy you gave guaranteed money to this offseason, right? Skylar Thompson, you've heard me on record on this channel. Doesn't matter who I'm talking to. He outplayed Mason to me this preseason. We can do what we want to discredit. We can do what we want to kind of minimize it. And that's what you're supposed to do if you're a supporter of, a certain narrative, and that's fine. But to me, just when you cut the table, Skylar Thompson played better. So it was good to see that he actually was, allowed the opportunity to earn that active roster spot. And then with Will Howard, we feel, that's a guy that we're really excited about. He just got hurt at a terrible time, and you didn't get a chance to see him play this preseason. But we all would agree, put him on practice squad. That doesn't, that's not going to secure him here. Somebody is going to for sure take him, and now we would miss out on him. So it was good to see that they just went ahead and said, keep on the active. And I think it was Jerry Dulac was already reporting that once, season gets here, they'll put him on injured reserve. And then from there, he'll miss the first 4 weeks. That give him a little bit more time to recover. And then roster wise, we can kind of do some more stuff in terms of adding personnel. But I kept 3 running backs, man. Kenneth Gainwell, Caleb Johnson, Jalen Warren. I like those 3, man. Obviously, I talked about Trey Sermon. That was one of the guys for me personally that I thought played extremely well this preseason. Not just running the football. We obviously know he scored points as well. But more importantly, his ability to make tackles on special teams, I thought would have given him an opportunity if we would have kept 4 running backs. But we did not. We ended up doing tight end / fullback. We'll get to that in a second. Kept 9 offensive linemen. All of these dudes make sense. When you talk, your starters, your main guys, but starters obviously being Broderick Jones, Troy Fautani, right, your tackles, Frazier, your center, Mason McCormick, Isaac Seumalo. Then from there, we kept 4 backups. Andres Pete, we obviously, that was the super vet that we signed. Was it 2 weeks ago? I think it was 2 weeks ago. Productive Pro Bowler, long history of starting both at guard and tackle. At this stage, gives you very, very high end depth that we should feel comfortable with. Calvin Anderson also made it. So I do like that part, man. When you're talking about Calvin, another dude that has came in and has, provided production at multiple times last year. Spencer Anderson as well made the roster. Very similar case in terms of both of the Anderson dudes, man. Spot starters, but come in and they can get you out of a stadium. Ryan McCullum is the final offensive lineman, the 9th guy that we kept, and he's another one of those guys, swing tackle, man, can do, that part and has shown that he can do it well enough. And those are the things that you want to see when you're talking about, the depth and the versatility of that group. 3 tight ends, Pat Frymuth, Jonnu Smith, and Darnell Washington. No surprise there. Tight end / fullback, Connor Haywood. Shout out to my dog, Connor Hayward, man. Super excited to see him make the roster. Was a little bit concerned because I did not know if we were going to be keeping 4 tight ends. But seeing how they put him as a tight end / fullback, I like it. Make it work, because not just from a can he catch the football, can he give you some multiple variety in terms of what he does pre-snap. Special teams is where he shines. Special teams where he gets tackled. Special teams where he blocks. Special teams where he thrives. So to me, this is more of that special teams move. And I think it's coincided when you look at the fact we only kept 5 wide receivers. Calvin Austin III, shout out to Calvin, DK Metcalf, Scotty Miller, Ben Skronik, and Roman Wilson. We ain't play a lot with that, man. We obviously know Robert Woods did not make the active roster. And we're just talking active. We'll get to the 16-man practice squad in a little bit because that's already been released. But just the active guys, to me, keeping just 5 dudes, man, 5 wides, that was a little bit different. Sometimes we keep 6, and that 6 guys usually that special teamer. But I do think because we did Connor Hayward as that tight end fullback, that also is a special teamer. So instead of keeping that 6 wide receiver, we only kept 5 of those dudes, Ben Skowronek being the main special team guy of that group. Defensively, 25 dudes over there as well, man. Very similar to what we do on offense, right? But D-line, nothing crazy surprising. Actually, one name. So Keanu Benton made it. Obviously, YA Black. Shout out big YA Black. Did some film review on him as well. That's for my upper room members as well. I shout out to that. You see that YA Black play. I like YA Black, man. I like him a lot. Daniel Akeli, Derek Harmon made it. Big Cam Hayward made it. Logan Lee, shout out to him making it. Isaiah Loudermilk, the Milkman, made it. Shout out to Loudermilk, man. He's one of our, let's see, he's been on the show before, but he's one of my youth football camp guys. All right. I see him out there when we're doing the summer camps. I'm like, yo, Big Milk, come on, man. Big Loudermilk in this building, man. And he just got engaged, or no, actually just got married, I want to say. Yeah. So shout out to my man, Loudermilk, man. Shout out to the love in the building. All right. And then the last one was Azizi Otomiwo. Excuse me on that one, man. I was butchering his last name. Otomiwo. Jeez Louise. Azizi Otomiwo. But yes, he also made it. That was the guy that we signed this offseason. It would have been, I want to say March time frame, man. But he was down in Jacksonville, if I remember correctly. I want to say it was Jacksonville, where we ended up signing from this offseason. We kept 9 linebackers. A little bit surprised here, right? In terms of not who made it, but more the omission. But Carson Bruner, shout out to the young boy making the roster. Malik Harrison, Nick Herbig, Alex Highsmith, Patrick Queen, TJ Watt, Jack Sawyer, Peyton Wilson, and Cole Holcomb, my 5'5" brother. And that was one of the ones to me that I was extremely excited about. You've heard me talk about him a lot this preseason, largely due to the fact that he came back with a vengeance, man. This dude has not looked non-athletic, injured, slow, hesitant in any capacity. And I think that that's important. We highlighted that when we were talking about him because we said, yeah, man, we remember when Devin Bush got hurt. There wasn't, this guarantee that he just came back, and we saw he didn't come back, and he's still trying to figure out how to get back to pre-ACL form. But it was good to see that Cole Holcomb was able to recover and get back to that. And like I said, I'm just a fan of that. Carson Bruner, man, the young, 7th round draft pick, beat out Mark Robinson. And I think the impressive part was Mark, man, is a dog on special teams. That man produces. But Carson Bruner, this preseason, dude was getting tackles. He was everywhere out there, special teams and on defense, and that production matters. Same way you heard me talk about Skylar Thompson, fans can minimize preseason production. The coaches don't, because it's an evaluation, and you're either making these plays or you're not. And just because you made that play a year ago, it's no guarantee that you're going to make it this year. You got to keep making those plays. So when you see younger dudes step up, or you see guys that may, have had a certain label on them, but they get in, it's like, man, dudes can still evolve. Dudes can still find ways to get better. And that's what you want to see, man. But it was good to see Carson Bruner be able to hit the ground running and ultimately make this 53-man roster outright. So salute to him on that one. 8 defensive backs. Brandon Echols. Shout out to Brandon Echols, though, man. That was dope, man, to see him make the active roster. Obviously, we know he was productive this preseason. We talked about him and Beanie Bishop competing a little bit, man. So, yeah, Brandon Echols getting that nod to start it. Deshaun Elliott obviously making the roster. Miles Killebrew, that's our special teams ace. JPJ, Joey Porter Jr., Jalen Ramsey, Darius Slay, Juan Thornhill, and the rookie, Dante Kent. Me personally, a little bit surprised. No Beanie Bishop, but I was more so surprised in terms of no Beanie Bishop on the active roster, but then seeing Dante Kent be on the active just because of, we know, the injury situation and the lack of participation that we got from Dante Kent. But what that does mean is that the scouting department, Coach Tomlin, they love what they saw from Dante Kent in practice. They love what they saw from him in terms of what he could do on defense and as a return guy. And he showed some of that in the spring, and they're going to give him opportunity. So I do like that for him, and the fact that it's a draft pick, man. If we're going to draft you, man, get these dudes opportunities, man. And let's see what they can do with that. So I do like that. And then we did keep the 3 specialists, Chris Boswell, Christian Coates. He found a way to get healthy. Shout out to my dog. And at punter, the big surprise, Corliss Waitman. Shout out to Corliss Waitman. Once again, me and Mark actually were talking about this exact position battle. I know X Concepts would have been happy when we were talking about these punter battles, but we said, man, typically, right? If we were looking at the quarterback argument, Mason Rudolph versus Skylar Thompson, we were talking about why you follow the money in the sense of guaranteed money means Mason should get this spot. Skylar Thompson more than likely doesn't get the spot. Flip side, we said, well, all right, Corliss Waitman doesn't have this much money invested in him. The team has more money invested into Cam Johnston. But the one thing that Coach Thomas has said to me before, man, I've heard it actually a couple of times, especially when you get that next contract. If it's even or close between a veteran or a player that is making more money and a younger guy who is cheaper, I'm going with the younger, cheaper guy. Look, you square your eyes, that's what he says. And it's like, dang, I mean, that sucked, but I get it. If I can get the same or close to the same for a lot cheaper, I'm going that route. Now, whether it be ups and downs, whether it be some growing pains, of course. But that's kind of, at least from Coach Thomas' standpoint, that's how he communicates that. And I'm telling you verbatim, that's how he communicated. Look at me now. I was like, you know what? I respect that, man. I'm gonna make sure I keep them young boys up off me then. That's what you're telling me. You ain't gotta tell me twice. All right. But those are some of the things, though, man, that I'm just like, yo, I think that's pretty cool, man. And obviously, Corliss Waitman, man, we obviously know his story, man. Dude that, got an opportunity in the middle of, not even in the middle of it, training camp pretty much done. This is what week 1 when Cam Johnston got hurt. And it's like, yo, Corliss, we need you. Come in here. And my man came in here and did his thing, man. So shout out to him, man, continuing that. And ultimately, like I said, carving out a way to get on that active 53-man roster, but super excited about that. But as a whole, man, the guys that I still would say I was surprised did not make the active, or at least I was surprised that they got cut, right? Because we're going to go back and recap on the practice squad as well. But in terms of them dudes, I was still surprised got cut. Beanie Bishop, yeah. Robert Woods, yeah. Cam Johnston, yeah. That 3 right there, I was like, whoa. Mark Robinson, yeah. Those 4 right there, wow. I was surprised by that, man. And then selfishly, Trey Sermon, just because I thought, man, he produced like a son of a gun this preseason, man, did pretty much everything he could do. But those were the ones that they kind of surprised me that didn't make it. And then obviously the ones that did, we kind of talked about them, man. So that was the part where it was like, whoo, all right. But it was good to see the guys like Brandon Echols, Corliss Waitman, Skylar Thompson, Carson Bruner, and obviously Connor Hayward get on that active 53-man roster. So salute to each of those guys. So like I said, I do like that. But like I said, that was more so just the active 53-man roster element of it.